Debt can either be a tool for growth or a trap that keeps you stuck. The difference is wisdom and intention. Today, we're breaking down how to manage debt God's way and take back control of your finances. Debt isn't inherently good or bad, just like money. It's how we manage it that determines whether it becomes a blessing or a burden. Today, we're going to explore how to approach debt with wisdom, align it with God's principles, and turn it into a tool for growth. I once worked with a client who felt like she was drowning in debt. Every month, she was paying more than the minimums on her credit cards, but it never seemed to make a dent. She said she felt like she was working hard, but going nowhere. Does that sound familiar? Have you ever looked at your credit card statement and wondered how you'll ever get out from underneath it? Maybe it's not credit cards for you. Maybe it's business loans, student debt, or even medical bills. Whatever the source, debt can feel like a prison. It steals your peace, your options, and sometimes even your hope. The world tells you it's normal to live this way, but deep down, you know you were made for more than just scraping by. The financial world is designed to keep us in debt, whether it's buy now, pay later schemes, easy credit approvals, or the constant pressure to keep up with others. Without a plan, debt can spiral out of control, turning it into a cycle that feels impossible to break. But here's the truth. Debt isn't just a financial issue, it's a spiritual one. It can keep you from trusting God's provision and using your resources for glory. Proverbs 22:7 reminds us, the borrower is a slave to the lender. God doesn't want you to live in bondage. He wants you to live in freedom. So what's the solution? Well, debt isn't the enemy. Mismanagement is. Debt itself isn't the problem. It's how we approach it that determines whether it helps or hinders us. With wisdom and intention, debt can be a tool for growth, especially in business. But when it's driven by fear, impulse, or lack of planning, it becomes a trap. Here's a simple way to evaluate whether debt is working for or against you. First of all, calculate the cost. Know what this debt will cost you annually. For example, $10,000 at 20% interest costs you $2,000 a year. Consider the return of investment, ROI. Will this debt bring in a return greater than its cost? Borrowing at 3.5% to invest in a business that will make a 15% return is a wise move. But borrowing at 20% with no return, that's a red flag. Credit card debt is a 20% interest. So putting things onto a credit card and worrying about them later is actually costing you money and the wrong way to look at debt if you're trying to get ahead. One of the other things to do is what Proverbs 3:6 reminds us. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Include God in every financial decision, especially when it comes to debt. Every financial decision you make is an act of stewardship. Before taking on debt, ask yourself, does this align with God's purpose for me? Will it help me grow, not just financially, but spiritually and emotionally? And am I prepared to manage this debt responsibly and pay it back? And in what time frame? If you're considering taking on debt to grow your business, make sure it's for something that will bring measurable returns. Maybe like a new equipment if you're in manufacturing, training, or marketing that drives sales. Avoid debt that leads to stress without adding value. Luke 14:28 says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Planning isn't just practical, it's biblical. So here's some action steps, how to apply it, okay? Write down all the debts that you have, total balance, interest rate, monthly payments. This will give you a clear picture of where you stand and help you to prioritize. And make a plan for your high interest debt. Start with the cards costing you the most, like credit cards. Create a payment plan that targets the highest interest debts first while maintaining minimum payments on others. Debt doesn't have to define you. When you approach it with wisdom, intention, and God's guidance, it can become a tool for building a legacy rather than a chain holding you back. So today, take the first step. Evaluate, plan, and pray. Stop winging it, start winning it. Your financial freedom starts here.